And tonight, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Tom Toller will be leading it. And all veterans and active military, please render the proper salute, and please stand.
Stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Jenkins, roll call.
Ms. Richards?
Present.
Mr. Toller?
Here.
Ms. Staple?
Here.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Present.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Bush? Mr. Moore?
Here.
Ms. Simmons?
Here.
Ms. Dominguez?
Present.
All right, thank you. Item 1C, consider approval of the Board of Minutes of May 21st.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Toller. We have a second by Ms. Dominguez. Item 2A, awards and recognition.
Any objection?
We didn't vote, that's right. Any objection to the motions? Motion passes. Okay, thank you.
Y'all on fire.
That's right.
What was next?
Keep moving on.
You got to watch it. All right, then the next item is 2A. Recognize the recipient of the Enos Jake Bailey Jr. Above and Beyond Award. And Mr. Toller is going to come up with me when we make this presentation.
Also like to ask Ms. Blades if she would come up, and also Stuckey.
This award is the UNICEF Jake Bailey Above and Beyond Award that my late husband established years ago, and we've kept it going throughout the years. And it goes to a recipient of people that have been just doing way more than is expected of them for their paycheck. They go way beyond and above their normal duties. And we frequently see this happen, and this is just a way to say thank you and to give them the recognition that they deserve. And so tonight, we want to recognize Tina Wages. Tina?
Ms. Simmons, would you let Ms. Blades maybe read some of her letter that she did?
Oh, we're going to do that. Let me present it, and then y'all are going to take over. Okay. All right, Ms. Tina, this is your certificate of recognition for the UNICEF Jake Bailey Above and Beyond Award, counseling assistant at Sumner High School, and you also have a gift certificate to Don Seafood. All right? Let me present that. All right, congratulations. So now we won't have you.
So while Miss Tina is up here, I just wanted to let y'all know what she's up here for. She joined our staff several years ago as an interpreter for the deaf. Sign for your husband so that he can see what I'm saying. Okay. Hey, Mr. Lonnie. Since then, she's worn many hats and served in many different capacities. This school year, however, she took on even more responsibility and even became the founder and sponsor of a brand new club at Sumner High School. She approached me after having worked in the counseling office for several months last year and had had the opportunity to hear some of the struggles that some of our students encounter on a daily basis. She had taken all summer to think and pray about a way that she could help. She asked if she could form a club called Students Helping Students, or SHS Club. Her vision was that students could learn the value of helping one another anonymously. She offered no recognition for the students who chose to join her club. She simply explained the needs that she had seen and asked willing students for input. This club gave members a voice and a vision and a mission. That was the opening of a door that led to the most amazing acts of kindness that I've ever witnessed from teenagers. They brought in gently used uniforms for kids that needed them. They asked for donations from local stores for school supplies and hygiene items. They received enough to stock a small closet, and Miss Tina was the keeper of the keys. She explained to her club members to spread the word. If a kid needed something, anything, at Sumner High School during the day, all they had to do was let Miss Tina know. She became a safe haven on campus, and so many of our kids need that. She protected the identities of the kids who sought her out. The officers in her club have no idea who they've helped, and they say that's the greatest part about it. All they know is that they're making other students feel valued, acknowledged, and loved, and that as such, they're impacting the entire school. The SHS Club took on other initiatives as the year passed on. They led the entire school population, staff and students included, to take a pledge against violence at school. They distributed messages of encouragement to every single student at different points throughout the year when they felt they needed them. They led by example. They used positive influence to communicate expectations to every person on campus. And as prom approached, they took on their biggest project so far. Through their outreach, they became aware that several juniors and seniors at our school wanted to attend prom, but they didn't have the resources to purchase the proper attire. So they did what they knew needed to be done. They brainstormed. They made plans. They asked for help from our community, and Project Prom was born. In a totally unexpected turn of events, our local business community, families of graduates, and so many others donated formal wear to another closet, and Miss Tina added a key to her growing collection on her key ring. The SHS Club was able to send 7 students to prom decked out in absolutely gorgeous formal wear that made them feel like part of our family, despite their own personal struggles. It's people like Miss Tina that schools need. She loves the kids and the staff at Sumner High School. She knows the importance of relationships, she isn't afraid of hard work, and she leads with a servant heart. She lives her purpose every day, and her influence is immeasurable. I believe that the more positive adult role models a kid has access to, the more likely that kid is to succeed. Not every school has the privilege of having a Miss Tina, but we're so blessed at Sumner High School to have her with us. So thank you, Miss Tina, for always going above and beyond for our kids. You're absolutely amazing. And I love you. And here's your certificate.
Hard act to follow. I'm just going to say Tina came to us as an interpreter stationed at our school. She never failed when called to go all the way to the south end when they needed interpreters down there. And she wanted to move into the counselor's office to have a greater effect on Sumner High School. And our counselor is here tonight. She can tell you, the current counselor and the past counselor, she is indispensable in the counselor's office.
I don't like doing this. I can say that. I just love Sumner, and I love our kids. You know, a lot of times we don't know what they go through at home, and then they have to come to school the next day. And I'm just very grateful for all the help that I've had. I have not done it by myself. Our kids at Sumner are amazing. And when I had a sign-up sheet, and I thought, you know, if I could get 10 kids to help, that would just be such a blessing. But I ended up having 50 kids that signed up within that week. And for me, that just showed me the heart of our kids, that even they don't know how to help, but they know they want to help, and they have the heart to help. And so now we have, I guess, about 40 active members with the club, and I'm excited for what this next year holds. I've learned the things that have worked and things that have not worked, so I'm expecting a lot more this year, and hopefully we'll be able to help more of our kids. So thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
I want your family to stand up with Miss Tina, please. Yay. just wanted to remind you that anybody can nominate individuals that you would like to nominate for this award at any time. Just call Miss Cindy at the central office. All right, the next item is 3A, academic update, CLEP testing in Tangipahoa Parish School System, Fussell.
Good evening. I just wanted to give you all an update tonight on an initiative that we started in Tangipahoa Parish 3 years ago, but we were able to expand this year by adding some funding and increasing our numbers. So just to tell you a little bit about CLEP, you've probably all heard of CLEP before. We used to hear it a lot more often in colleges when you'd hear a freshman say, I CLEP'd out of English 101, or I CLEP'd out of this subject. And then I noticed 3 years ago when this became a state initiative and accountability, I was like, I haven't heard that in a long time. I wonder what the shift was. Well, the shift was that colleges started using your ACT score. So if you had a certain score on your ACT and your English sub-score, they let that count as CLEPing you out of a 101 or a 102. Well, when the state revised the accountability standards, there's a category called strength of diploma, which is how many opportunities we're giving our students to have a very strong chance at their next step, which could be credentials, could be dual enrollment, could be AP, and the new initiative was CLEP. That was not previously part of accountability. So in Tangipahoa Parish at that time, we really didn't have a CLEP testing center. So we had trouble offering it to our students because the only CLEP testing center in the area was at Southeastern, and of course, that testing center, you have to pay to take a test there. So what we did 3 years ago is we made 3 testing centers in our district. The first one's at Sumner, the second's at Laurentian, and the third was at Ponchatoula, and that was based on the size of the school, because to have a CLEP testing center, you have to have at least 50 exams administered a year in order to maintain the status of a testing center. So what we did was we partnered our schools together. So Kentwood High is definitely taking advantage of this opportunity. Each year we've had an increase. So Kentwood High will just contact Sumner, and whatever day they agree upon, those kids go there and test. Amite High would generally go to Laurentian. Independence High will go to Laurentian. Hammond High, who already had IB and AP testing, they would go to Ponchatoula High. So it was really neat this year for all of our principals to work together on that. But just to give you a little background, one of the things about CLEP is it's 50 years old. It's very valid and reliable. Over 2,500 universities actually accept this credit. And it really is a proficiency test. It's a college-level proficiency exam. So the idea behind it is that the student has not been exposed to that class, but they have a knowledge base in that subject, which means they would be proficient, not have to take that introductory course. So, and Miss Cindy had scrolled down for you because I really wanted y'all to see the military part, just in case anybody in the public knows people in the military who maybe when they get out, plan to go to college, military take CLEP exams for free. So, Ms. Cindy, if you'll go to the CLEP exam overview, there are 33 CLEP exams that students are eligible to take. And so what we've done at Tangipahoa Parish, when we first started, we made the testing centers, and then we would go to the schools and we would talk to the kids about what CLEP meant. Well, CLEP has twofold purposes in our schools. First of all, it is a money saver for parents and for students. So the test actually costs $80. And I don't know if any of you have had to pay tuition lately, but I paid for 6 credit hours last week, and that was over $2,000 for 6 credit hours for 2 courses. You can get that for $160 through a CLEP exam. So this is a great opportunity for parents and students to save money, especially when a student has a strength in an area. The second thing is for accountability. For our schools, it's equal to an AP exam or an IB exam if you make a 50 on the exam. So if a student takes any of the 33 exams and they make a 50, that high school is going to get 150 accountability points for their diploma. They're going to get 160 if that student also has an advanced credential, which we do have in some cases. Like if a student has EMT and they take a CLEP exam. So that's a great opportunity for the schools, but for our students, and of course, the poverty in our district and the opportunities that paying $80 for 3 credit hours can provide students, we wanted to expand on that. So for the last 2 years, the first year we did offer reimbursement to schools to a certain extent of what we could. We didn't have funding aligned to it at that time. This year, under our federal funds, we were able to buy 266 CLEP vouchers. So we were very strategically met with our seniors first, because our seniors understand a little bit better at this point about what they're going to go into. And then you also have a decision to make with what exam you take. So for example, if I take a dual enrollment class at my high school, I don't want to take a CLEP exam in that subject because I've already earned that credit hour. So we try to ask the high schools, look at what you offer in dual enrollment, and then let's plug in the holes and offer students this extra opportunity to earn these credit hours. The other situation, because this is going to surprise you, students were not begging to take a CLEP exam. So we ended up, this was our strategy, call the parents, because parents understand the savings of dollars. So we would have to reach out to parents because students, understandably, they're afraid. It's a subject they have not sat through a class on, because even though it might say history, if you scroll down, there's a history 202, it actually equals to history 202. That's not in the same scope and sequence of the U.S. history we teach. So we had to really look, and we asked our teachers to look at what's closely aligned. So this year when we bought the 266 vouchers, we told the students, look, do not stress. We need to see what areas will be good areas for us to encourage students to take this opportunity. But we also had to tell them, look, it's no penalty against you. Doesn't hurt your GPA, doesn't go on your transcript. Now, we can use these as proficiency exams when we need to. So the foreign language helped us out a lot, the Spanish, because we had a student who came in their senior year, and they still wanted to qualify for TOPS. Well, you need 2 foreign languages. So we were able to submit the CLEP test as a proficiency, and those students both passed those and earned that credit. Another misconception that actually a parent saw it on the board agenda and called, and I was like, I'm so glad you called, because I didn't realize that this was the misconception about CLEP exams. A 50 gets us accountability points, but every university, they set their own requirements for what they accept. So, and we're very clear with the students about this. Just because you earn a 50 does not mean Southeastern, Southern, LSU, you have to go to their student handbook, and it's very fine print. It's not always out there. And then you have to go across and see what will they give you credit for, what score do you need to get that credit. They also don't accept all of them for their own reasons at a university. Maybe that's not a program where they want to have a decline in enrollment, etc. But the other misconception was the 50. They thought that the 50 was like a 50%, like that was a minimum score. Well, with the way it's scored is your correct answers are a raw score. And then that's converted to a scale score from 20 to 80. So 20 would be your lowest, 80 would be your highest. So most universities do start at the 50, but you may see a 53 up to a 63 that they will accept credit for. So this year, again, we bought 266 vouchers. We plan to continue expanding. Once we worked with our seniors, we then dropped down to our juniors and our sophomores and offered them opportunities. We're really going to have to work on getting people to understand what the CLEP test can do for them so that students aren't afraid of taking that exam. And then, of course, continue that funding for that. The last thing about CLEP, we get our scores back in bulk since we buy vouchers. So we only have 192 out of our 266 that have been reported back. And out of the 192, 68 actually earned the 50 or higher. You know, when you hear that number, you may say, okay, well, you bought 260. We have had probably less than 20 each year up until this year who would make that score or even attempt it. So we're super excited as to what that's going to do for our strength of diploma, but we're more excited about what that's going to do for students as they go into their universities and they have those credits going in with them. The last thing I think about voucher part and the results on the scores is that we feel like students, when they start to have a few kids take it, will then be more comfortable. So we're going to really align what we offer so that we can figure out where our strengths are. For example, U.S. history, since we moved it to 9th and 10th grade, that's a hard one to dual enroll because you have to be a junior to dual enroll in that. We're clipping that one, and we're seeing a lot of success with that. So you can buy study guides that go along with this. So part of our high school plan is to really work and make sure, not that we're teaching the CLEP test, but that we're providing them with the resources they need to be successful if they choose to go this route. So that's just a little bit about CLEP and how we've utilized it. We'll get our next set of scores. Next month will be the remainder. The other issue was we didn't track the previous 2 years because in our SIS system, you don't mark CLEP for accountability. Our State Department gets the results directly from College Board. So we have asked OnCourse to add a little box so that we can internally track our CLEP records and how our students are performing on that in the future. Now, any questions about CLEP?
Yeah, Ms. Fussell, on the, by schools, are you seeing a trend as which schools are utilizing this more than others?
Well, this year it was across the board. Everybody, we didn't go out and say, Kentwood, you get this many. We said, start with your seniors, get your interest, submit your numbers. And then if one school requested, which really, we were able to meet the needs of all the schools, all the requests that came in. Like I said, I thought, we're not gonna have enough. The kids aren't beating down the doors to go take the CLEP exam because it's a fear. Plus, they didn't quite understand the need. So
Right.
that's our task, is to further expand that and go directly to the source, the parent.
I think that will grow as other kids start telling other graduates what they did and how far ahead they are in their freshman year.
Exactly. Yes,
Good
sir.
job.
Thank you, Lisa.
So how many of the 260, you said you bought 260, how many students actually took the test? 100 and,
We used all
oh,
266
you
of our
did?
vouchers.
Okay, I thought you said 198.
Well, 192 tested in April, so I got that report back in May.
Gotcha.
The rest tested in May. I won't get that report back until June.
So you used all 260, so that's good.
Right. So the schools know, but I only go by the valid report that comes back from CLEP. So I kind of have an idea. Like I know, for example, Amite High School had 14 that scored 50 or higher because that principal was very excited and he called to say, hey, what's this going to do for accountability? I mean, we're super excited for the kids too, but you're talking about 150 points for a diploma when 100's the norm. So 2 of those will definitely help raise that SPS score. And the opportunities for the students is just unbelievable.
What kind of forum are you using to introduce this to the students?
We're using the school, however the school sets up their parent contacts. In the beginning, the first year, I would go to several of the schools as secondary supervisor to kind of explain to them, because, I mean, this is just me. I didn't want a bunch of kids saying, going to take the CLEP exam and then this didn't help me. So we were very clear, if you've taken this dual enrollment class, consider another exam, because even though the school gets more points, we want it to be worthy for the students. And so a lot of it is also on that subject. For example, like my son took the U.S. history. So the first time he took it, he made a 49. He had to wait 3 months to retest it, and then he made the 50. So we also used, like Ms. Abrams asked about the vouchers, the last 15 we had left, the students who were juniors in April, we have until the summer to test them again. So we saved about 15 to do retests. So that's something we'll have to think about. If you are within a certain range, are we going to use some of the funds to retest, or do we do a one-shot? That's a policy thing we have to think about.
Is there like a pre-test or a practice test before?
When you
the
go
actual
to the
exam?
CLEP workshop, they give you a book. This is being filmed. I don't think this is illegal. I hope it's not, but this is what they tell you when they present. They give you some practice exams. They tell you that if a student can make about a 75 on the practice exam, they have a good shot of making the 50. But I'll just be honest with you, kids, we don't want them to feel over-tested, so we're not using that as a screener. Just like AP's philosophy is I don't have to be an AB student to be successful in AP in this particular class. Like my son is not your high-performing valedictorian student, but he's a history buff. So I knew that that was a good subject for him to try. So we don't go by a pretest. We ask the teachers, who's a strong student in this subject that might want this opportunity, and then the administrator's knowledge of students who might be willing to try it. Because like I said, there's a fear. You know, they get their score back immediately. So it's a complete, okay, I just failed this, and that can really mess with your self-confidence. So we're really careful about trying to make sure we prepare them for that exam, the taking of it, and it's no penalty to them.
Any other questions?
Follow up on that, Ms. Simmons. Ms. Lisa, I think what Mr. Moore wants to make sure that we're doing it, and then I'm not speaking for him, but this is what occurred to me from his question, is we want to make sure that we are offering this as an equal, that there's nothing that we're doing here, I don't know the best way to say it either. There needs to be an equal opportunity to take advantage of this. This is something that's valuable. We want our students, and we ought to have some sort of procedure in place to make sure that it's not just teachers or principals picking their favored students. Is there?
Right.
Can you speak to that
Yes,
a
sir.
little bit and make sure that we are addressing that going forward? That, I mean, this is a valuable opportunity
Right.
for our students, and we don't even want to have the perception out there that there's not an equal opportunity to access,
Right.
to
So-
have access to this.
So what we do first is we put it out there for interest, and then generally, very few to none show up on their own. So then that's when we say, okay, who are some people? But parents, even before we had the vouchers, we advertised it that any parent could pay the $80 and we would do the testing for free. So the vouchers is a new part, but we've been offering it to parents and students for the last 3 years for anybody. But going to the screening part, just want to be clear, that's one thing we don't want to do. We don't want to screen and say, you don't make a 70, you're not taking the test, because that does not determine really how they would do. That just gives us an idea. So we don't want to cut kids out for the screening part, but we haven't had to turn anybody away. It has been open interest. I know that the 3 with testing centers did parent call-outs. They announce it in the classes, but we do not, even age. We don't, if you're a 9th grader, because you can CLEP as young as 13. There's not even an age requirement on this. So we even encourage 9th through 12th, but our voucher focus was with seniors this year. But yeah, Mr. Duncan, we are very equal opportunity on this, and we haven't had to turn anybody away. Some schools, before we receive vouchers, would even use their own fundraising funds to help a student who had interest but couldn't afford the exam. So we were excited to be able to offer them the vouchers this year, and we continue. The thing about the vouchers is they do expire, and you can't renew them, so we have to be very careful. The CLEP before this year, you could only buy them in 3-month cycles, and then if you had any left, you just lost them. I guess because of all the pressure and all the CLEP testing going on, now we can buy them week to week. So we're not going to be wasteful with the money, but we'll get a sign-up group. We'll know we buy the right amount of vouchers, and that way we won't lose any when they expire on the 30th or whatever date that happens to be.
So just one more follow-up on that. When we do the outreach to the parents, and I know you said that there was like a specific outreach where the teachers or the administrators would call parents that we have targeted. Can we also make sure that there's a general call out to anybody that would qualify, like a robocall to those parents? We know particularly it can be difficult getting information to some of our kids that are
Right.
particularly high-risk kids, getting that information home. Is there anything we're doing to making sure that we can let those parents know that, hey, this opportunity exists for your child and for your family?
Yes, sir. We'll make sure we add this to our academic page, because the 3 testing centers, they set their testing date. Because you can imagine if everybody wanted different testing dates, the scheduling nightmare that would be at a high school. So we're also expanding now that we have increased enrollment. We're going to open additional testing centers at Hammond High Schools interested. Any high school can have a testing center. They just have to have a person willing to take that responsibility on, because you have to watch the webinar, make sure you know how to open and run that testing, and then that's a day they miss of instruction. So each school, they're welcome to have one. We've opened that up, and several have expressed interest, but we'll add it to the district page, because right now each school does it through their parent nights. They do it through however they communicate to their grade level, those meetings. But we can definitely add it to our robocall at the district level at the beginning of a semester, each semester, and on our academic page. It's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
One last thing, and just adding to the idea about the robocall, maybe even using sorry about that. Yeah, maybe even using the local churches,
Yes, sir.
including them as a part of that. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, an announcement in church is, it's pretty, I find it to be pretty efficient. The ministers usually make a great access to, to the children.
Yes,
So
sir.
maybe we could actually add them to that as well. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know if we can do that. But I would.
Oh, yeah, we could definitely make a flyer
Yeah.
to share with churches. And like Mr. Toller said, now that we had a larger group, we're already starting to get more interest, hey, how does this work? How do you do this? And so that will definitely be a priority of our schools, to have their own system for getting interest and then setting the testing dates so that we can have as many students go through it as possible before seniors are wore out and just ready to leave us, like they are at the end of the year.
Yeah, okay.
Any other comments? Thank you so much. It was
Thank y'all.
wonderful. Thank you. Next item is 4A, consider committee reports. Capital Outlay Committee of the Whole, May 21st, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
Accept.
All right, Mr. Mingus made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Moore. Any objection? Motion passes. Am I going too fast, Ms. Jenkins? All right, next item, 4B, Finance Committee.
Move to adopt.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Richards, right? Any objection? It passes. Okay, item 4C, Personnel Committee, May 21st, 2019.
Make a motion to adopt?
All right, Ms. Janice made the motion, Mr. Toller seconded. We have any objection? Motion passes. And item 4D, Personnel Committee of June 4th, 2019.
Motion. Can't recognize. I made a motion.
You made the motion. Who seconded it?
Second.
Rose second. Okay, any objection? Motion passes. Ms. you have something
Yes,
to say?
yes, Madam President. We have our assistant principals that the board just approved tonight, and so I would like to recognize them. And so when I call your name, if you could stand up. We have Ms. Avril Turner, that is named assistant superintendent, assistant principal. And Ms. Avril, if you would like to come up and say anything to the board, you're certainly welcome, but we want to congratulate you.
Give her
And
school, what was it?
yes, it's Amite West Side.
All right.
I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity. I worked for the past year and a half as disciplinarian at Westside Middle, Amite Westside Middle, and my goal is to curb all discipline. So I've been working very enthusiastically to do that. This year, our out-of-school suspension rate dropped from 28 point whatever to 8 point something. I can't remember the exact numbers, but that was one of my goals. So I'm glad to say I achieved that goal this year. Next year, I wanted to drop even further. I want to also thank my family, my pastor, my church family, my co-workers.
Would y'all stand up?
Stand up.
Family and friends, support.
My assistant principal, Reagan English. I just want to thank you guys again for giving me the opportunity to work with the faculty, staff, and students and the parents at Amite Westside Middle.
Well, thank you,
Congratulations.
and congratulations. I also see we have Miss Christy Atkins here, which is at Ponchatoula High School. And Christy, if you'd like, congratulations, by the way. Thank you. Also, Mr. William White, I'm not sure if he's here. He's not here tonight. Miss Charlotte Seymour. Do we have Miss Charlotte Seymour here tonight? She is assistant principal at Natalbany Elementary. And then we have Miss Robin Danos, who is also an assistant principal at Natalbany Elementary. So we just want to congratulate you and thank you, and we're here to support you in the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Okay. All right, next item would be 5A, Superintendent's Reports and their recommendations. You want to read them out, or you want me to read them out?
You can read
Okay, Mr. Schneiderbach. The first one is an update on attorney for fee expenditures related to the Joyce Moore desegregation case. Mr. Schneiderbach.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman, Ms. President. I'm here today to talk to you all about, or at least update the board and the public on our efforts to reduce our attorney fees related with our Joyce Marie Moore desegregation case. And I just have a slide up here. This is a total monthly slide showing our actual attorney costs from July 17th to July 2017 to the present month of April 2019. And you can see along the way how the variance goes from month to month. And you can see in the dotted blue line going along, there's a trend line. You can see the trend line is sloping downward. We're working hard at trying to reduce our attorney fees related with this particular case. Ms. Cindy, if you could scroll up. The second slide right here is a 3-month moving average slide. The moving average actually just minimizes the peaks and the valleys and gives a better trend from a visual standpoint. What you're doing basically is you're averaging the 3 previous months and pointing that plot. The next slide, again, is a 6-month moving average slide. Again, the same thing. You notice you're eliminating the peaks and the valleys. But the real thing you want to look at is you see the trend line is trending down, where July 2017 it was above 50,000 per month, and now you can see April 2019 it's running under 30,000 per month. Over the last 5 months, our attorney fees have dropped significantly compared to the previous 5 months. During the 5-month period ending starting July 2018 to November 2018, we incurred about $176,000 in attorney fees over that 5-month period. For the most recent 5 months, the 5 months that Ms. Staley and I are working to keep these costs down, from December 2018 to April 2019, we incurred $60,000 in attorney fees. That's a reduction of $116,000 of attorney fees related to this one case, or that's $23,000 reduction per month. And if we annualize that $23,000 reduction per month, it results into an annual savings in excess of over $250,000. Ms. Staley made the pledge to you all that she was going to reduce the fees related with this case, and she has certainly done that. She has impressed me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schneiderbach.
Yes,
Thank you.
Item B, consider approval of the recommendation from the third-party charter school application evaluator, Mr. Jinko.
Good evening, Superintendent Staley, Madam President, Board, and public. Just to give everybody kind of a little timeline on this particular process, on March 1st, 2019, Tangipahoa Parish School System received a charter application from North Shore Classical Academy. We ran an advertisement for a third-party evaluator from March 20th to April 5th. We did not receive one applicant. Ran it again. We extended the deadline another week to April 12th. Did not receive an applicant. So I started to get a little nervous. We had to call, I called the Department of Ed for a little guidance. They gave us some names and some individuals to contact to see if they would be interested in being our third-party evaluator. We ran the advertisement again, and it ended on May 3rd. We had 2 individuals that came to the application process. One was Strategic Solutions, Ms. Kimberly Williams, and the other individual was Dr. Toby Daspit, who's an educational consultant. The administration selected Ms. Kimberly Williams. She has had experience. She's been our evaluator before. Her timeline that she gave us best fit the recommendation and the timeline that the state says this process has to be completed by June 7th. So she did meet that particular guideline. May 14th, Ms. Williams sent out an agenda to the to the North Shore Classical Charter, giving them a timeline of the particular steps. She sent us a copy of that. May 28th was a date that she was to interview the charter the group. They did not show up for the application. Ms. Williams sent them some information, gave them another deadline to meet, see if they had any questions related to her evaluation. And with that being said, I'm going to call Ms. Kimberly Williams up. She will give you her recommendation and answer any particular questions that you may have. Ms. Williams.
Good evening, and thank you for having me tonight. To date, we have not received any correspondence outside of the initial charter application that you received. I have received no communication, no answers to questions. They did not show up for the interview. They did not do a follow-up, nor did they respond to this recommendation that was made. So outside of the date you received the application, I, as your third-party reviewer, have not heard a single word from this applicant, personally. So that being said, I had to evaluate the application based upon the paper that was submitted to us. Typically, during the process, you're allowed opportunities to revise or answer questions. If any of you were with us the last time we did this, we went back and forth with the applicant to clarify some things. And while the results might not have ended the way the applicant wanted, the process still went through. There was an interview. There were tons of staff members that were in the interview. That opportunity was afforded this applicant as well. None of those things happened because they did not show up. I stayed 30, 45 minutes that day with Mr. Ginkgo, and that just didn't happen. So what we present to you today is the final recommendation on their application. They asked for a K-8 charter school with 450 students for a number of reasons. I'm sure they have it in the copy in the packet in front of them. We are recommending denial. First and foremost, the application wasn't even complete. I received a budget that was missing. So inside of your charter budget, you give me a startup budget, you give me a first-year budget with assumptions, and you give me a 5-year projected. I received a startup budget with no assumption on where $60,000 of startup funds was coming from. It was just placed in. I did not receive a first-year operating budget with assumptions, and I received a 5-year budget with limited assumptions. So I don't know where your numbers are coming from or where your revenue is coming from or how you determined a lot of the numbers. In addition, if you read through the recommendation, which I did bring additional copies, there were a ton of reasons why the application should not be approved. Namely, they're not ready to serve kids. The first thing we look at is the ability to educate students. The number one reason charters fail is finances. The second is they're not educating the kids that they're attempting to serve, and that's not what they were planning to do here. Not to say that that wasn't their intentions, not to say that had we gotten more information, but based upon the information that we received, they did not have what was necessary to provide a quality education for the students in Tangipahoa Parish. For that reason and the 2 pages worth of reasons that we submitted to you, we do recommend denial of the application you received.
Question.
Yes.
So, Ms. Williams, right?
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to, I guess, make sure I understand what you were saying. I read your report, and it looks, most of the stuff that I saw in your report was just, I think you were, needed more information, things like that. There wasn't, it wasn't a very thorough application. But then you had said earlier that you gave the charter board opportunities to come in and provide you additional information, and they just didn't respond?
Right. They were afforded, about mid-May, they received a write-up from my team that included about 20 questions for them to respond to. That was our draft recommendation. If you take the draft recommendation and put it next to this recommendation, they're almost identical because the draft said, here's all the questions that we have, and the final says you didn't answer the question, so we have to assume you're not going to do it. They also, the interview would have been the next place to clear up those questions, and we'd have spent whatever time necessary. They did not show up for the interview, and so when you're here, you see a lot of information that isn't clear that we don't.
And I guess one other thing I'm just curious about, because, and I don't know whether it factors into this application or not, because I know this is a new application, but my understanding is that this application was from an organization that had an existing charter school that they were running for the past 3 years that Bessie did not renew their application, and so they were essentially coming in with a new operator and kind of trying to start anew. But this was, the team that put this together was a team that was running a school here in Tangipahoa Parish under a Type 2, right?
Yes.
So did that factor in? Is that information that you had or knew?
It is not information that I received until the day of the interview. It is not something that we would have even taken into consideration until they walked into the room. Because I was your third-party reviewer the first time, I would have known the Type 1 application and the applicants and the people who sat at the table with us the first time to go through the interview process. The people who submitted the application were not on the original application because after being here last week, I compared the names. Those 2 names weren't on the original application, but that's not to say that is not the case. I don't know that for certain to be able to confirm or deny that to you. That did not go into this decision because these are the same questions that we had when we sent out the initial, and that was before he and I ever had a conversation, the assistant superintendent and I ever had a conversation about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this application, did they identify the building that they were going to be in? So none of that was even in there?
No, the application might have been 28 pages total. And typically, charter applications are about 55 pages, plus I usually get about 200 pages worth.
And the team that put the last charter school, the one that Bessie ultimately approved, that application was hundreds of pages.
I still am in possession of that application.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a 3-ring binder full of information, yes, sir.
And although the organization was, I believe, the same, as you pointed out, the board, the team, everything is different from the old application.
I don't know that because they didn't identify that information. They didn't provide me that information to be able to make that determination.
I got you.
Nor did I see them to be able to make that determination.
All right, that was all I had. Thanks.
Any other questions? No. Or comments? So we need a motion?
I make a motion to approve her recommendation that we deny their application.
We have a motion to deny the application. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Duncan.
Is that the proper motion?
Before you take the vote, you do have to, I know you have a public comment process, but in order to ensure you've checked all the boxes, open the floor for public comment, that the public can give you any comments that they have about this, and then officially take your vote.
Ms. Jenkins, did anybody turn in a public? Okay, we could still let them come up though for this item. Are there any comments from the audience on this item of the charter school before we vote? None? Okay.
Ms. Williams, would you look at the motion up there and make sure that's in the proper form for Bessie? Is that what you think it needs to say?
Motion to approve the recommendation to deny the application of North. That is correct.
Okay.
All right, that's the motion. Who was the second? Mr. Duncan? Okay, all right, let's go ahead and vote.
Yes.
Yes. So we're voting on Mr.
We're voting to deny.
To deny, okay, which would be yes.
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 Ms. Abrams? Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Yes.
Ms. Simmons?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Thank you. All right, Ms. Stilley, item 5C, general updates.
No general updates tonight, thank you.
All right. Personal privilege. Mr. Westmoreland.
I'd just like to thank the superintendent for giving us these weekly updates to keep us abreast of what's going on in the administration. I think it's very helpful to the members. I was very intrigued by the Apache Industrial Services meeting that we received the update on. This company is interested in getting students into the workforce, and I think that we need to push the workforce, the craft, as much as we push people, our students, to go to college and become doctors and lawyers and such. We definitely in our society need workers, and I think Apache is a very good company that we could partner up with to get students involved in crafts and working plants and things. So thank you, Ms. Stilley, for providing those updates to us.
Mr. Vegas.
I would just like to say how pleased I am that the Louisiana Coalition for Public Education actually, in the course of this last year, have worked very hard. And there's some of our ladies here in the TFT, the Teachers Union, that have helped us. It was Louisiana School Boards Association, the Louisiana Association of Educators, the Louisiana Teachers Federation, our superintendent's organization, our principals organization, as well as our retired teachers organization. We were able to persuade the senators and the representatives how important education is, and they finally voted a raise. I will say that it's not as much as we would like. However, it's a start. It also has given us the first, or the second, I should say, since I've been on this board since 2007, the second time we were able to get some money from the state to support education in the Minimum Foundation Program, the MFP. I'm really pleased with that. I will say that I was a little disappointed at some of the Facebook comments I saw across the state that it wasn't enough, it's not anything, $84 a month, no. I was very disappointed that people would be that, I guess, I don't even know what to say about those people, because that was a lot of work by a lot of people to get the educator, the representatives to realize how much it was needed, and then for them to just basically slap back and say, you didn't do a good enough job. And I just think that was really rude of the people who did post that, because we all worked very hard. And I thank y'all for what you did as individuals here to help, and Ms. Stilley for also going, with us one day to the Capitol. So thank y'all so much for that. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing what we can do with the extra money that we'll get.
Mr. Moore?
Okay, there are a lot of things that I am pleased about as far as the progress of the board is concerned. But the thing that has been my main concern, and the thing that actually has risen to a height where I can actually identify it as being the thing that I'm most pleased about, is the amount of effort that has been put into reforming the disciplinary policies of the board and the way that we are handling and intend to handle. There's a lot more compassion being shown. I think that we are actually putting, I think we're making it personal. And I look forward to seeing just how well it helps the section of our community that this affects the most. And I'm concerned about it because our African American community is affected more by that, and by us putting the extra work into actually helping getting to the core, the root of the problem, that we are going to be able to make a change in the community and in our success in bringing the educational level of the African American community, our children, the younger children especially, up to par. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Ms. Stilley? Okay, Mr. Toller?
I do want to just one quick comment, publicly thank Ms. Stilley's administration and her employees. A lot of things happen. I saw her interview today with Mr. Benitez about the summer and how busy it gets. And people have no idea with the staff changes and the phone calls that we get with registration issues, and her staff, from Dr. Hurst to Mr. Jinko to Mr. Snodderby. I think I've touched base with almost all of them. I've not yet bugged Mr. Vitter, but I probably will.
Mm-hmm.
But they have been very good at quickly solving issues, and that makes our job a lot easier. So I publicly thank you guys. Y'all do a great job.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Richards?
I just like to piggyback on Tom, because I'm texting and calling and asking questions of the staff, and they readily get back with me, and I just want to thank you for that. Also, I just want to say again to our assistant principals, I'm so excited, and we look forward to working with you and for you, and whatever the need is, please reach out to us. We will be there. And just go in to the teachers and staff, enjoy your summer break, because it'll be over before you know it, and real life will be back.
All right, Mr. Duncan?
I wanted to thank the administration for the updates, but I wanted to particularly just talk about my appreciation for, each of these meetings the last few months. We've taken the opportunity to talk about an academic program and focus on an academic program, which is it's been really nice and encouraging because, over the years, we have a tendency to focus, I would say, too much on negativity, personality disputes, just stuff that really is not what determines the quality of our school system. What determines the quality of our school system is really the opportunities that we offer to our students and families and the quality of the delivery of those opportunities to the students of our families. And we don't really spend enough time on that, or it just doesn't feel like we spend enough time on that in these meetings. And so to be able to do that, to focus on that, has been nice. It's been encouraging. I also hopefully, the more we can focus on that kind of stuff, my hope is that will help bring us together more as a community, because hopefully these things like offering more CLEP opportunities, offering more career certifications, those are hopefully things that we can all agree on, that we can all come together on as a community, and rather than those things that tend to divide us. It's not to say that we don't need to deal with those things that have been an issue. Obviously we do. But I don't think we need to spend near as much emotional capital on them as we do sometimes, because that's not going to move us forward as a community. Fighting over those things, getting all upset about those types of things does not help move us forward. These programs, they actually will improve the quality of what we do here as a school system. So it's been very nice, and I thank you for that, and hopefully we can continue to focus on those things going forward.
Ms. Abrams?
I'd just like to say thank you to Ms. Stilley and her staff. With the DSEG case, that is a tremendous amount of money saving every month. And you set that goal when you first took office, or position, we took office. And that's saving a lot. And that's what the public wanted. We hear so many times in our community about how much money we have spent on attorney fees. And that's money we could be putting back into our school system. And so kudos to you for getting this done. She's worked just so many hours just getting that to where we need it to be. This board, of course, I wasn't on the board before. Some of you were. I just feel like we just mesh so well together. We call each other all the time. We're always texting each other. And I think this has been just a breath of fresh air. And I think we're going to move forward and make our school system great again, and get it where it needs to be. Just want to wish everyone a safe and happy summer, and just remember you got to come back soon. So just get all your fun activities in before the summer's over with.
I wanted to thank those individuals. I think Mr. Duncan and Ms. Dominguez was at the Capitol a few times this week pushing for our teachers' raises and other raises. And I just, that took a lot, and I really appreciate that. And also, too, I'm excited about the money that we've saved on our attorney fees. And that was really a smart thing tonight to be able to let everybody see that, because that's what we hear on the street more than anything about paying lawyers too much money. The last thing is, I can't say enough about career ed. I have two young people one graduated last year from college and one 2 years ago, still looking for a job with a college degree, and smart kids. But they just tell them, well, they're not trained for particular in areas. And so, we really, really need even more VOTEC, so that, because it's really hard to get a job outside of college with just a regular college degree, which is sad, unless you're a teacher, maybe. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out. So, and that's all. Okay. All right, executive session.
Madam President.
Mr. Duncan?
Move that we go into executive session to consider the cases of Joyce Marie Moore versus Tangipahoa Parish School Board, the Arlene children versus Tangipahoa Parish School Board, the Baraloo Shattling cases, and that's it.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any objection? Okay. Executive session.
Channel 17, proudly serving the Florida parishes.
All right. The meeting will resume, and we have, who's Mr. Westmoreland?
Yes, I think there's no action to be taken on 7A. On 7B, I move to accept the recommendation of Ashley Bass on that case.
We got a form.
Okay, why don't you repeat that for Ms. Jenkins, too?
Okay. I think there's no action to be taken on 7A. On 7B, we will move to accept the recommendation of Ashley Bass on the R-Line case.
Second.
Okay, and then C?
We had to vote on that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, any objections to the motion to B? All right, no objections, so it passes. All right, C?
On 7C, we accept the recommendation of our attorney to engage special counsel in that case cited above.
Okay,
And what the name of the
Paul Harrison.
yeah.
Paul Harrison,
He'll represent the two teachers.
yes,
That's our contract.
as special counsel.
Okay, do we need a second on that?
The
Mr.
motion
Duncan.
is, from Mr. Westmoreland, is to adopt a resolution hiring the firm of Paul Harrison as special counsel for Brett Chatelaine and Arthur Barrow.
Barreau, that is correct.
Harrison.
Harrison, yeah.
Special counsel.
For Chatelaine and Barrow. Under the law, they're entitled to representation by the school system if they get involved with a student, and we have to defend them in court. So that's what judge our obligation. I have a conflict because Mr. Barrow is currently in litigation against the school, so I can't represent him. So that's what we need for special counsel.
All right, so we had a motion and a second, no objection. Motion passes for that. All right,
Public input?
public input, we didn't have any.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I think we should let the Brumfields talk just because they're here, even if they didn't fill out a form.
Oh, Brumfield, yeah, come on,
Just say one.
give a little talk.
Just waive the rules, let him just say something, but on a 1 minute, you got like 30 seconds.
No, I don't have anything. I've been hearing good things. I'm glad I heard that you guys are privileged there. I really like what I'm hearing. Not that my opinion really matters in this board per se, but I'm really glad to see the harmony among the board members. Everybody's talking about it, so I'm really excited myself to see positivity and where Mr. Duncan pointed out, academics is a focus, improving on our discipline, and getting more personal with people, not just treating the number, but treating the person. I think that's pretty cool. So, anyway, kudos around.
All right, good to have y'all. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, adjourned.